Our Jeff Patterson is in Naples live at a mobile home park where I guess you've already found quite a bit of damage, Jeff.
Yeah, good evening, guys. We were in that marina just a short time ago. I can tell you the water was rising quickly, so we decided it would be better to retreat because, as Steve Jervy told me earlier, storm surge is going to be 9 feet. Now, take a look behind me. This is Naples Estates. We drove through this mobile home community before the wind really started hitting, and I can tell you, Irma has rocked Naples Estates. We can see some significant damage in here. We haven't been able to drive in yet because there's aluminum everywhere. This mobile home right here on the corner, it has lost its roof completely. I believe this might be the roof right over here. Power line, power pole broken in half, power line kind of leaning. If you look over across the street, you can see some of the structural aluminum that has come flying from Naples Estates across the street. There are broken trees, down branches. We saw down trees all the way as we were driving over here. And also a lot of the car parks, they have outdoor car parking here. We've noticed a lot of aluminum from some of those car parks that has fallen. We saw some of it down on cars, and in fact we've seen light poles down. But I just want to kind of walk you into this mobile home community because there's a spray of water here is clearly, so there's been some major damage to their irrigation lines, and there's just aluminum and debris as far as I can see right now. There's one thing I am concerned about greatly as we're walking in here. As we were driving through before the storm hit, we saw cars parked underneath here, and I'm very concerned that there are still people inside of this mobile home community that did not evacuate. And as we're walking down, we can just see there's damage all the way down the street. There's a little street flooding here as I'm walking down, but you can just see mobile home after mobile home after mobile home that has been ripped apart by these heavy winds as it came on shore 130 miles an hour. And clearly these buildings were not up to the task. There is just nothing left of the roof of this home over here. Their belongings kind of exposed. And so we're going to respect everything that they have, not go any closer. But I will just tell you, this is the worst damage by far that we've seen here in the Naples area. We have not made it out to Marco Island and probably will not before nightfall. That's something we're going to have to look into doing perhaps tomorrow because I expect if the damage is this bad here on Marco Island where Irma made landfall, it's going to be a lot worse, you guys.
Hey, Jeff, I think that this really hits home 2 points. The reason we evacuate and tell people to evacuate if you're in a structure that can't withstand the winds. And secondly, authorities say don't rush back to your home. There's so much debris out there and street flooding, you don't really know how bad it is. So I think this speaks volumes to both of those points.
Yeah, no question about it. And one thing I want to point out, we didn't want to drive in here because, frankly, I've covered so many of these storms before and been in situations like this. One thing you have to worry about when you're driving along is tire puncture. The other thing you have to worry about is just downed power lines. And we've certainly seen some of those that are, leaning across roadways. And so it was kind of slow going to get to this point. Basically, we're now working our way back to the hotel because we're not going to be driving around after nightfall. And we've got a good location, a good secure location at the hotel that we've been reporting from all day. Now, I was talking to Steve Jervy and Julie Phillips earlier, and they're telling me on the backside we're not going to see the winds, but we certainly are starting to see that storm surge. I was stunned at how quickly the water was coming up in that marina that we were standing in. A few hours ago, we're standing in that marina, and it's mud. There are boats listing on the side because they have bottomed out. Now the water has come up so quickly, several feet, in fact, that it was overflowing the marina and starting to come into the parking lot. So that's a concern. There were a lot of people that had tried to park their cars on high grounds there. And since Steve told me it's going to be up to 9 feet, I don't know that everybody back there is going to have their car out of the way. So not all of the damage perhaps has been done yet. Steve and Julie were telling me the story from this point on, this far south, is going to be that inflow of water, the flooding that we're going to experience now with this storm surge. We're going to be keeping a close eye on that and reporting it to you as we see it.
And you hit it on the head with the power lines. When you had your photographer show us one of those power lines, it was bent in half, and you have to be very careful because if that thing cracks and all that water you're standing in, that's a good point you make. When people come back to their neighborhoods, they got to watch out for those live wires. I can't imagine there's power there now, but nonetheless, that is a dangerous situation.
We have seen some power, in fact, as we were driving here. There's some stoplights that are working, some that aren't. And I know people get frustrated. They want to get back to their homes as quickly as possible. And honestly, it's one of the reasons that people don't evacuate. I've heard it time and time again. Well, I don't want the police to keep me away from my home. They're worried about looters. They're worried about other things happening to their home, and so they don't want to leave. Well, look at that. If somebody had been in that home when Irma came through, I don't know that they would have made it. Now, again, as we drove through here earlier today, before the winds really started picking up, we saw a lot of cars in this mobile home community, and frankly, we're not going to be able to walk back there right now to check on anybody. And authorities haven't been here to check on anybody because they already told us much earlier, before the storm ever hit, they're not coming out after winds exceed 40 miles an hour. They're going to wait till the storm passes, and then they will come out to assess the damage, to make sure they clean up debris and get things ready for people to be able to come back into their homes, clean up, pick up the pieces.
Jeff, who is your photographer out there with you?
Well, it's Bob Hansen. Bob and I have covered hurricanes, from Hurricane Mitch in Honduras to, many others that too many to remember, to be perfectly honest, but
right.
Bob's doing an incredible job.
Yes, I want to thank you both. You are doing a great job. It was so sad. He zoomed in on a picture at one of the mobile homes there, and it just reminded me of all the heartbreak that we still are going to see here in Florida. We just watched that unfold over with Harvey in Houston, and now we're facing the same thing here, and my heart breaks for those people who hope they come home to a house, but then there isn't one.
Right.